Okay, Rhonda, you? No? Okay, well, we'll wait a minute.
hear us?
I can hear you. Can you talk? I can't hear you.
Joni, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, we were waiting to turn our microphones on until you got on. Okay.
Okay, Andy isn't on yet, is he?
Is that Alan?
Got Alan, and you got Andy.
We got Andy. Okay, that's the one I was, okay, that's good.
There's Alan. There's Andy.
Okay, good. Okay, very good.
All right, here we are.
Okay,
Okay, are we ready now? Can everyone hear?
I can.
Alan, can you hear?
Loud and clear.
Andy? Okay. All right, sorry about the delay and the technical difficulty. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And the first order of business is to approve I believe the March 9th minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. However, I did indicate to Rhonda that there was a misspelling of Haynes. So with those noted corrections, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
I, Dan Tystrup, second that.
We're doing a roll call vote because Joni is joining us remotely. So I'll start with you, Joni.
Joni Truex, aye.
Dan Tystrup, aye.
Doug Haynes, aye.
Jan Orban, aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. KEDCO update. Terry and Alan's remote. Terry's here.
Recording in progress.
Alan, do you want to start or do you want Terry to start?
Yes, ma'am. I'll kick it off and then ask Terry to correct me on things that I miss or help to provide some amplified information along the way.
Yeah.
So I am joining you from the
Turn that
friendly
up
Starbucks
a little bit.
in Muncie. And hear me all right?
We're going to turn the volume up.
Can everybody hear? Okay. Okay.
All right. I apologize. I couldn't join you in person. I didn't realize it took 2 hours to drive to Muncie. I thought it was only an hour. And I'm teaching the session of the fall state course this afternoon on redevelopment of all things. So I'll actually send everyone my slides in case it's helpful to have that. But a couple updates from the KEDCO team. And again, I'll ask Terry to jump in with any more details or help, especially as it relates to new projects like South Shore that are coming online. But number one, working with the town of Etna Green on their housing development strategy, and appreciate the partnership with the Redevelopment Commission on that project. We are ready to issue a request for proposals to find a builder developer to support housing development in Etna Green. We have a draft RFP ready and need to complete the review. And I bring this up, it would be a good time for us to identify a member of the Redevelopment Commission to join that review effort. Otherwise, it's KEDCO working with the town of Etna Green. But I think it'd be really helpful to have someone from Redevelopment Commission on that review process. And then that would be, sending out the RFPs, reviewing the responses, interviewing, and ultimately make the recommendations on which builder developer to work with. I'm going to stop there in case there's any questions or a comment.
When we looked at the various areas for potential growth or projects, did we have somebody assigned to Etna Green? We had, maybe it was you before.
Doug, I'm not sure your mic is on. I'm sorry. I just
it is on.
coming
No,
in
I
through
was
very
just,
faint.
yeah, Alan, I was just we were trying to remember if we had previously assigned a redevelopment commission member to the Etna Green area, and I can't recall.
Joni, do you recall?
No, but we can go back in the minutes and find out, Alan. We can get back to you on that. What's
Perfect.
your deadline for knowing?
I mean, really, we'll work with whatever timeline. We're going to issue the RFPs within the next few weeks, but really it becomes important when we get the responses back. So I would say we have at least 30 to 45 days.
Okay, I'll go back in the minutes and figure out who said they would do Etna Green and then check with them. And then, so I guess we need a motion to appoint a member of the Redevelopment Commission based on who said they would take that.
Well, just real quick, Joni, you and Dan had South Shore, correct?
Correct.
Mike and I had Leesburg, Milford. You
I had 1,300
1,300.
up in that Syracuse, Milford
Yeah,
corridor.
so I don't think we assigned anyone to Etna Green. So we can go back
Okay.
to our minutes, or we can just choose somebody now.
That's fine. Does somebody want to volunteer?
I can volunteer for that.
Okay. Jan, can you make a
Perfect.
motion?
Doug,
Or
you
Dan.
going to volunteer for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure what I'm volunteering completely, Alan, so I might hunt you down if I volunteered for something more than what I bargained for, but
Understood. And really, again, just to reiterate, it would be to help with the reviewing proposals that come in from builders, interviewing builders, and helping make a recommendation to the town on which builder to work with for the project.
okay.
Dan, can you make a motion, please?
Okay. So I need a motion to appoint Doug.
I, Dan Tystrup, will make a motion to appoint Doug Haynes for.
Joni Truex, second.
All right.
I'm probably not going to vote for myself, so.
Yep. So I'll second that then? Or Joni?
Joni did.
Joni did? Okay, sorry, Joni. I'm having trouble. Sounds like you had a serious throat issue. Okay, so we have a second. So we're going to do another roll call, and Joni, we'll start with you.
Joni Truex, aye.
Dan Tystrup, aye.
I'm going to abstain, right?
Jan Orban, aye.
Doug, you don't have to abstain from this one.
I
Yeah.
don't, I can vote for myself?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Okay, Doug Haynes, aye.
all right.
Thank you.
All right, Doug, you are officially been appointed then.
Okay.
All right, Alan?
Yeah, yes. So two more updates, and they're related. Do you want to report in? You know, we just talked about, or you mentioned the different assignments for the corridors for 1300 North, 15 North, and the South Shore area. You know, we are beginning to look for proposals to find an engineering firm to help us develop some concepts for the 1300 North corridor. Timing is actually very good to begin doing some planning around that area of the county. And so I guess we'll report back to the commission with a recommendation as we review proposals as they come in for supporting that planning effort. And, you know, would also recommend we begin to look at, you know, either some planning along the same lines along that 15 North corridor, or maybe we haven't talked about this in a while, but the 30 West corridor between Warsaw and Etna Green. Again, we can find and kind of pre-qualify some options as far as firms to work with, but just that as we get underway with 1300 North, wouldn't be bad to begin shortly thereafter starting to work on the other two corridors, one or both of them as well, on some planning. And again, Terry and I are here to help support that, as well as, you know, I know there'll be some discussion today about the South Shore project, but those are the key updates from GEDCO.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for Alan? Okay, thank you, Alan. Terry, do you have anything for KEDCO, from KEDCO? Yeah, turn it on there. There you go.
Terry Sweeney, Kosciuszko, EDC. Just besides the Etna Green, some of our team are also working on housing in Claypool and Mentone and Leesburg. starting to work on a couple of those. So again, with that priority of how do we create workforce housing in order to keep our companies' ability to grow and have a labor force.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions for Terry? All right, thanks, Terry. All right, the TIF excess AV certification.
Okay, so in years past, the auditor always presented to the commission if there was any excess assessed value within any of the TIF districts, we could pass that on to the outlying taxing districts, and you would have to vote on that if there is, but there is no excess assessed values, so we just have to have a motion that you will leave it in the fund.
Can I make a motion virtually? I don't know.
What's that?
Yeah, you can make a motion.
I make a motion that we leave the excess value in the TIF district.
Doug Haynes, I'll second.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
and roll call, Joni, vote.
Joni Truax, aye.
Dan Tystrup, aye.
Doug Haynes, aye.
Jan Orban, aye. Okay, motion carries. All right. The South Shore TIF public hearing and discussion. Rhonda, I understand that you did not have, we'll open that up. I understand that you did not have any written remonstrance. Okay. So we'll open it up for discussion. Is there anyone here to speak for or against the project? Okay.
Maybe I'll highlight real briefly just
Sure.
how we got here. This is a part of the residential TIF, establishment of the residential TIF for South Shore Golf Course, and we started this back in January and have gone through a series of steps through that process with the Plan Commission, the county commissioners, and as well as the area school board, and had approval on all of those things. And then Andy with Baker Tilly is online as well, and he's run a lot of the preliminary numbers and assisted in providing notice to all overlapping taxing districts of today's public hearing prior to the adoption of the confirmatory resolution establishing the TIF. And I believe also he has ran the numbers for the 1% test, and I think we're good on that as well. And those numbers have gone off to the DLGF for basically confirmation. So at this point, this is kind of the last step in the process. Everybody gets informed, essentially saying, come now, and if there's any written correspondence, the notices went out, published, but also directly delivered to each of the overlapping taxing district. From Rhonda's confirmation, nothing's been received. And if there's no individuals here to speak for or against it, then you can close the meeting and consider the confirmatory resolution. Andy, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, that's a great summary. Thanks, Adam. Just maybe a couple brief things I would add. Actually here, just within the last hour, I did get a response from DLGF on the 1% test. Our original understanding was with the legislative changes that occurred this year, one of which removes the 1% test. Our original understanding is that would become effective as of July 1st. I did submit the 1% certification request to DLGF, and then they notified me that their understanding is the 1% test is no longer required, and that was effective essentially when the governor signed the bill. So they basically just sent me back an email and told me that we are okay to proceed. But then as far as the tax impact statement for the residential TIF area, we did send that out back on April 27th. And it confirmed that that was delivered to all overlapping taxing units, both with a copy of the tax impact statement and then also a copy of the notice of public hearing for today's public hearing. And copies of that impact statement and public hearing notice went to the county, Turkey Creek Township, Wawasee Schools, Syracuse Library, and the County Solid Waste District. And all of those were successfully delivered on the 28th.
Thank you.
Okay.
For my education, Andy, did they speak to whether or not they thought that applied to the school board approval as well? Or, I mean, that's not as much their department, but, or is that going to be a July 1st thing?
It sounds like everything in House Bill 1005
Really?
is effective, but that was kind of my question too. I just haven't had a chance to reach back out yet and see if they had an interpretation on that. So I will try to get more info and pass it along as I can.
It's a little bit of a sidetrack, but would you have have you had any insight on this whole spending plan and the requirement that may be coming into effect next year with regard to having to file a spending plan? They're not calling, from what I understand, they're not calling it a budget for the TIF, but a spending plan that cannot be altered. What's your insight on that?
We have started to have some conversations. Ultimately, the guidance for that will most likely come through DLGF. So we've been in contact with DLGF. They are still kind of digesting exactly what that means. We think that there's probably quite a bit more flexibility in what you would include in a spending plan as opposed to a budget. So probably ways to, give the Redevelopment Commission flexibility throughout the year. But the way the statute reads, the new legislation is that once in place, redevelopment commissions would not have the ability to deviate from that spending plan at all throughout the year. So I think, whatever flexibility, is able to be built into that will be very important because, as you know, redevelopment commissions, one of your biggest tasks is, responding to opportunities that pop up, all throughout the year. So, unfortunately, not a whole lot of guidance at this point, but we're continuing to monitor that, and hopefully sometime in the next few weeks or at worst next few months, we'll have some guidance from DLGF on that.
You all understand that? Mm-hmm. So generally, there's a guideline, and there has been for years, that allows the Redevelopment Commission to, the option of setting a budget. And Andy, you can correct me, you know this stuff better than I do. And this alteration, in having our annual meeting, you have the option of setting a budget for the year and then, varying through the year. But the language that's coming through with this is saying, starting in 2024, you need to set this spending plan for each of your TIFs, and does contain language of you cannot divert from it. And as kind of Andy would highlight, I'm sure Alan and Ketco and everybody else would, that kind of seems somewhat contrary to economic development, where you need a little bit more flexibility to look at things as they come up and be able to move quickly on those different, projects and that kind of stuff. So this is something we're just going to have to watch as we go into the fall and get some guidance from DLGF of what we'll need to do to be prepared for next year to allow the most optimum amount of flexibility so that we can be prepared to continue to assist with projects in the community. So, sorry, that was a little bit of a divergence there, but just in the legislation updates and all the changes to the residential TIF stuff, that was kind of in the same realm of changes that affect the Redevelopment Commission. So back to the confirmatory resolution then at this point. As Andy said, all the requirements have been met, and you can essentially close the public hearing and vote on the confirmatory resolution.
Okay. So, Doug, do you have any questions before we close?
I do not.
Okay. So we will officially close the hearing, and we will entertain a motion for the confirmatory resolution.
I so move. Dan Tystrup, I so move.
I have a second,
I'll second Doug Haynes.
and we'll start roll call with Joni.
Joni Truax, aye.
Dan Tystrup, aye.
Doug Haynes, aye.
Jan Orban, aye. All right. It's been a long journey. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, South Shore.
Yeah. Okay. Any further business to come before the Redevelopment Commission today?
I just have a request, Andy, if you and Adam could keep us informed of the changes in that spending plan requirement, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, that could have a big impact.
There's a, let me, if I can chime in just for a second, there's a webinar tomorrow with the Redevelopment Association of Indiana. I'll send around the link for it. Terry doesn't know it yet. I was going to ask him if he could join, but certainly anyone else from the commission is welcome to as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think there's going
Glad
to,
to.
yeah, I appreciate that. And I think as much of us, we can participate in those kind of webinars through the year and as the Redevelopment Commission members can as well too. That's really great. I'm guessing a lot of their answer is going to be tomorrow. We're waiting to see what the DLGF says, kind of thing, as we kind of progress through the years, or through the year, excuse me.
Okay.
We'll certainly pass along, as we hear more, certainly keep you informed.
Thank you.
Thank you. All
Sorry I
right.
couldn't be there.
Do I have is there being no further business before the Redevelopment Commission, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I, Dan Tystrup, will make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second?
All right. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Congratulations
Thanks, Eddie.
again.
Thanks,
Thank
Al.
you.
Feel better, Johnny.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.